They say the biggest risks are the ones you never see coming. But what if the danger is right in front of you and nobody's talking about it? According to Alasdair Macleod, we are entering the most dangerous silver market in decades, and small investors are walking straight into the fire. Behind the headlines, behind the talking points, there's a quiet shift happening. Central banks pulling back, the leasing game coming to a screeching halt, and a global financial system teetering on the edge. Most people think silver is just another asset, but Macleod says it's the epicenter of a brewing storm. A storm powered by collapsing paper currencies, skyrocketing debt, and a market so distorted that it could wipe out the unaware in a single blow. If you're holding silver or thinking about it, what you're about to hear might change everything.
Well, I mean, we'd start with the dollar, I think, out of all those, and everything flows from that. There are two things which are working against the dollar. The first is that the use of the dollar as a trade settlement medium is going to diminish. Initially, it'll diminish because the world is being thrown into a slump by these policies, by a combination, as I say, of the credit bubble being pricked and Smoot-Hawley Mark II. That combination, I think, is going to lead to dollars being sold on foreign exchanges in return for national currencies. Why? If you're an international company based in, it doesn't matter where, you're running your accounts in the national currency. To own dollars is risk. You need to get that risk off your balance sheet, go back into your own currency. Your currency might be not even as credible as the dollar, but nonetheless, that is what you do. When business is contracting, you need the money back home. You don't need it sitting, if you like, in an American bank account or invested in US treasuries or whatever it might be. The second thing is that the bear market, which undoubtedly has started and will continue and will probably involve a crash. We're not in a crash territory yet. That will impact the $14 trillion worth of portfolio investment in US equities. They will be sold down as much as possible. And the dollars that will be raised also be sold for presumably national currencies, but at the same time also gold. So you can see that that's, the first thing that happens is the destruction of the dollar gets underway. And the second thing is that as that accelerates, the urgency to come up with a sensible currency arrangement for the Asian hegemons and their extended partners, I think the urgency will actually concentrate minds and they will come up with something. Whether it works or not will remain to see, but I think they will concentrate their minds. And countries like India, who have objected hugely to the idea of a gold-backed currency, I think that they're going to be a lot more amenable to something sensible.
So here's the real warning Alasdair Macleod wants you to hear. This isn't just a market correction or another recession. This could be the breaking point of the entire fiat currency system. He says the end of gold leasing by central banks is just the beginning. That move alone sends a signal to insiders: the old tricks won't work anymore. And when central banks stop playing their own game, it's time to pay attention. With foreign investors holding trillions in US equities and the dollar facing global skepticism, we're staring down the possibility of a rush for the exits. That kind of exit doesn't just drop prices, it ignites panic. Small investors? They're the last to find out, and the first to get burned. Banks are already over-leveraged, with commercial debt turning toxic and systemic risk spreading fast. Macleod makes it clear, the Fed can't print its way out this time, not without destroying what little trust is left in the dollar. And if the Fed turns to Congress for a bailout, imagine the optics of a bankrupt government recapitalizing a bankrupt central bank. It's a confidence collapse in the making. And silver? It's caught right in the middle. Prices may swing wildly. Supply could freeze up. Premiums could explode. And if you're not prepared, if you're still relying on old assumptions, you could get wiped out. So, if you're a small investor in this market, now is not the time to guess. It's the time to watch, to listen, and to move carefully. If you found this valuable, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And remember, this is not financial advice. Always speak with a professional before making investment decisions. This isn't just market turbulence. This is a systemic warning. Alasdair Alasdair Macleod points out that we're not only at the top of the biggest credit bubble in history, but that the very foundation of our financial system is beginning to crack. Stock markets are plunging, volatility is exploding, and beneath it all lies a debt structure so bloated it can't hold itself up much longer. Macleod draws a chilling parallel to 1929. Except this time, the debt is bigger, the risks are global, and the tools central banks once had to manage crises are now broken or depleted. In his words, credit is the other side of debt. And when credit gets vaporized, stock prices implode, banks are exposed, and confidence evaporates. The recent tariffs announced by Trump aren't helping. They're accelerating a breakdown in global trade that's already under immense pressure. Back in 1929, America was largely self-sufficient. Today, everything runs on interconnected supply chains. When those chains start to snap, the impact isn't limited to factories. It hits your savings, your stocks, your silver. Macleod is clear. Small investors, especially those in silver, are standing in the blast zone of a financial shock that could come faster and hit harder than anyone expects. And with central banks already reversing course on gold leasing, it's a sign they're starting to prepare for something big. Something they're not saying out loud.